keeping it short and sweet for the end of Sunday. So yes, I'll be going in tomorrow for the lecture and possible taught workshop, although I doubt anyone will actually attend. So yeah, I'll have to wait and see, and yeah, I'll tell you all about it tomorrow. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up now and say night for today, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Quite literally. Yeah, it's going for video, yeah. Views. Been feeling better, obviously. I've been trying to hide on the third floor where I usually am for a moment before I can eat my lunch in peace. With some peace. For the lecture on the recovery of my contract, which is Met 3, I think it is. At 3 PM in Sandra Burton 205. It says 2.05, but I say 205, and it's a bit more effort saying point. So yeah. So yeah. This week just had the lecture on the resit for contract. Regardless of whatever you have gotten in the exam and what the resit, you will be capped at 40, which is slightly annoying. So yeah. It's like, at the moment it's possible, like an option, as I'm not guaranteed to get like 65 in the exam. So yeah. I think I've got a talk workshop at 1/2 which is an hour away, so yeah. I would kind of like to know where I got in the mock last week, but I know in last week. So yeah. I'll be seeing you all tonight anyway, so yeah. See you all tonight. If like I'm on my peach iced tea, then something's up. And I need a motivation to actually do anything. So yeah. And like one of those big craft. I can get from like Tesco and all. Oh, Tesco's finest. It wasn't too bad. If I've done like that in like 2 hours and something's up. Just something that kind of happens. Does it kind of leave the motivation to go on?
Service to Norwich, Manchester, Stockport, Sheffield, Chesterfield, Alfreton and Nottingham, where the train divides. Please make sure you travel in the correct part of the train. Please travel in the rear 2 carriages of the train from Brandon, Peterborough, Ely, Bedford, Attleborough, Windham and Norwich. The front 2 carriages
currently wondering what my brother's actually doing in the bathroom. And I would like to go to bed. Considering I've been out since I was out like 10 to 9-ish, till about 20 past 7. I was out for a significant part of the day, and it's been a day. And I would kind of like to settle down, as it's now like 10 to 11 at night. So yeah. It's a bit like, whatever happened in the lecture I'll probably be doing on Saturday. And yeah. Both lectures for the Indian visa and then the contracts, and then but for now I'll tell you about the taught workshop, as got the mock part 2 back and I got 68, which I was kind of dancing around a little bit. I think like last year I got like 62 in the mock and then like 69 in the actual thing. So yeah, so I kind of took on the advice then, and I hope to use it this time for better. Nice, but I kinda added got an average. What the F is he doing in that bathroom? Kind of added the 2 scores up from part 1, which I got 52 in, and part 2 68, and found out I got an average of 60. And yeah. Which isn't too bad. It's getting me hope about these exams. God damn, he's now in a shower. He's just had a bath as well. I also need toilet, which is highly annoying. Please leave. Water's about to burst. It's kind of giving me, as a result, I've kind of got a little bit of hope about contract, as I might be able to get 65 in the exam, but it's like, as I say, it's not guaranteed. So yeah, I'll be gonna say bye for now, and I'll see you all very soon. So au revoir. Buddy. Hi guys, it's now the end of Monday. Just doing this quickly for your brother in the bath / shower tonight. So yeah, I just added bonus. At least not yet. Not yet. So yeah, sorry if I sound a little different and I've got a cold. Yeah, I'm not feeling the best. Well, it's really, I can live with it. Just as long as it kind of disappears for the workshop. Not workshop. I don't exactly have any workshops left. As long as it kind of goes before the mock on Friday, where I'll be. Yay! I wasn't able to get much sleep last night. I was over cold. I kept getting up in like the middle of the night and having to like blow my nose and all that. So yeah, it's like not really ideal. But yeah, I can kind of with it for a few days. But it's a bit like, need to get with everything. Like, hopefully he'll go and I'll be able to sleep normally again in like a day or two. As I'm feeling like better than yesterday, better than last night, better than this morning. As I was like constantly blowing my nose. But now it's a bit like I can kind of step away from the tissues a little bit. So yeah. I'm going to this mock on Friday. And it's like I've started the revision, just not got very far with it. And it's like I was kind of like that with the 2 parts for the taught mock. But I think with part 1, I started revision like an hour and a half before and got 52. An hour and a half before the workshop, 2 hours and a half before they actually did the mock. And then for the part 2, it was like slightly weird. I was supposed to do it in the workshop, but I had to do it in our free time. Kind of, but in all till from when I started revising till when I did it, took about 22 hours. Revision took like 22 hours. So yeah, like, and got 68, which isn't like too bad. Like, although I know that although I know that I'm going to have to start way before for the real exams, which I have done so far. So yeah, fingers crossed I am able to do the actual exams and get good marks in them. If 2 parts for the taught mocks are anything to go by, then yeah, I'm optimistic about it. Especially for the contract one, which I kind of want to do well on. As much as I want my resit in the contract to help me, so like I kind of want to do well in the exam, so like and get at least 65 to pass, as I don't really want to be capped at 40, like a pass mark, like just a marginal pass, as 40 is the mark you need to pass, and I would like a higher pass than 40, even if it is like by like 1 or 2 marks. So yeah. And this week I've got a few different I've got a few things to do tomorrow, so yeah. I might be leaving you now, and yeah. I'll be seeing you all tomorrow, where I might have a few things to talk about. Sorry about that accent. So yeah, I'll say goodbye. And it's like I've got a headache, so I'm trying not to kind of move it too fast, or going like go wild with it, as my head is kind of like a little sensitive as of the cold. So yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow, and yeah, see you all tomorrow. It is now the end of Wednesday. I had to think about it. Which I'm not really used to considering I've been Monday and then I wasn't in yesterday or today. I'm used to being on Tuesdays, i.e. Law and Society is on Tuesdays. But I wasn't in yesterday because Law and Society's done and so I won't be in tomorrow. As everything tomorrow is essentially done as well. The only thing that I've got is on Friday, which is not tomorrow but the day after. So yeah. I was able to get a bit more revision and we set up for my coursework done, but yeah. It's probably shouldn't be really leaving the revision for the mock on Friday this close to the mock kind of thing. At least not like the first time around. So yeah. Well, at least I'm doing it. So yeah. I'll be seeing you all tomorrow. And yeah. Bye for now. It's now the end of Thursday. It's as I was been trying to get like the main body for my resit done. I've done it, and with some room to spare for my introduction and conclusion. As I'm kind of intending my introduction to be no more than 100 words, and my conclusion to be used with what's left over, which is 282. So yeah. I've still got a little bit of work to do, and I'm going to be stressed all night as I have a mock tomorrow morning at like 10. I think it is like half 10. No, we'll just get it up now. And I'm afraid it'll probably take me like 10 years to actually get there. I really should have at least memorised the time. Till 12:30, so yeah. Maybe asking more. Maybe it's like, yeah, the exam's supposed to be 2 hours, but I'm entitled to extra time, so yeah. 25% extra time, so yeah, it would be, say, 25% extra time would be 15 minutes an hour, and as it's 2 hours, I get an extra half an hour. Which is kind of like, can kind of gloat a little bit by saying, I've got a little bit more time to go into the same amount of detail, and I don't have to rush about it. Can possibly go into a bit more detail about it, if needs be. Yeah, I can probably take it for granted a little bit, as I have that option, knowing that not everyone has that option, like me. So yeah. And also, I also finished off making the notes, and between now and when I get up tomorrow morning, I will probably be stressing out until, from when I get up till the exam, I'll probably be revising and stressing out, like you do. So yeah. No, it's like, me and Friday, waking up on Fridays hasn't been done since, like, at least on education, since college, and like my final lessons kind of finished like 2 years ago for me at college, around like this time 2 years ago. So yeah, I haven't done this for a while, so yeah. And then like me and Fridays in uni, it's like non-existent. So yeah, this will be my first Friday in uni. So yeah. I'll see you all tomorrow and let you know how we're going my exam. So yeah. See you all tomorrow. As I'm going to bed today. For once. I'm going to bed at like 11 instead of midnight. So yeah. Bye for now. At the end of Friday, now technically Saturday, as it's just gone half. Then I did the conclusion and introduction for my recent coursework, and then I got it all, kind of went over it all with a support worker. And yeah, I got what I wanted to do today done. I was just with very kind of someone in passing, some kind of had a bit of a conversation with how do you feel about the exam? How do you feel about the exam? How do you think you did? So yeah, fingers crossed we all did well, even though it was just a mock. So yeah, it's probably going to be end of Friday. That was psychologically drained and physically drained as well, and I just want to kind of go to bed. And I felt I made it to 25 to 1 in the morning is something, considering I was up at 7:15 in the morning, yesterday morning. So yeah, I'll leave you all to it now, and I'll be at it again, going through this week for the final time. So yeah, bye for now. Yeah, it's now Saturday, and yeah. Taught workshop this week, other than go through revision and all that. Nice work, and got a glimpse of the approach we should take to a problem question next year. And it's doesn't exactly change much, but something is added. It's issue authority application, which can also be evaluation or critique, and then conclusion. So yeah, I'm going over how we can answer the 2 questions in part 2 of the exam, which got 69 in. So yeah, I was really buzzing after that. And it's you have to go over the things of each in some detail, kind of thing. So yeah, and the only other thing we've had this week other than public law exam and the taught workshop is this, the contract lecture, the last contract lecture ever. Fingers crossed, hopefully we'll pass this year. As we went over exemption clauses, misrepresentation, and breach of contract and remedies. It's when going over exemption clauses, you go with what an exemption clause is, and kind of in this order. If there's any liability to exclude, does an exemption clause form part of agreement? does the exemption clause cover the liability that has arisen, and does the clause fall foul of statutory rules, as it's the one part of contract that has a statute to go with it. So yeah, first one being, is a liability to exclude? And it's like, if there's no liability that has arisen to exclude, then there's like no need to worry about it, and there's like I kind of like see if there's generally negligence in part of it, where negligence liability will arise, where there is liability where you are at fault kind of thing. And on the other hand, there's like strict liability where there's liability without fault. That's why you have to kind of consider whether a clause has been incorporated into the contract, and there's like, you're probably better seeing it on the lecture recording if you're an MMU student like me, as they probably explain it in a better way than I am, and you can see that table, that chart, which is hard for me to read. I can't really read it, kind of thing. There's and go on to how it's incorporated, like incorporation by signature. And it's if you do sign a contract, you are generally bound to that contract. And it's and then you kind of explain Lestrange and Garku, 1934. And then kind of say that if the effects of the term is misrepresentative in the party, then the signature might not be effective, like in Curtis and Chemical Cleaning, 1951. Yeah, incorporation through, another way of incorporation is through reasonable notice. It's the clause will be incorporated if a reasonable notice of its existence is given before the time of the contract, where the contract is formed. And what is reasonable is kind of depends on the facts of the case and what's going on in it. And it's because different things require different steps for it to be reasonable notice for the contracting parties. Like in Parker and South Eastern Railways, 1877, where it must be judged against the standards of a reasonable person. And this should be a contractual document. Like in Chapelton and Barry UDC, 1940. And it's other ways of incorporation is a course of dealing, like McCutcheon and McDade and Brain, or through a customs trade, custom, like British Crane Hire and Ipswich. Then now on to construction of clauses. Now it's you have to ask whether the clause covers the type of liability that has arisen. Now constructor can be strict and as against the party seeking to rely upon it. under construction and limiting clauses. The courts will not treat limiting clauses as strictly as clauses which seek to fully exclude liability. Whereas it can protect you from like most things, just not everything. Like in Ailsa, Craig Fishing Company Limited, and Malvern Fishing Company Limited, 1983. Construe against the party relying on the clause as like a three-part test that can cover negligence and negligent liability. That has arisen from the Canada steamship lines on the King, 1953, not 53, 52. And you have to kind of, it's like in the exam you probably should explain that. And yeah, explain like the test and the parts of the test. And I think that test kind of came into play in John White and John Warwick, 1953, where the defendant was found not liable for any personal injuries to the riders or the machines hired. There we go with limiting clause, I think it is. And it's like the phrase howsoever caused can cover like negligence, like in Travers and Cooper. There's like two moving on to like the statutes, like there's the term full foul statute. There's like two statutes, one covering like business to business, another for business to contract. We kind of abbreviated it throughout the year, like B2B and B2C, with like using like the number 2. For business to business, it's Unfair Contract Terms Act 1977, and for business to consumer, the Consumer Rights Act 2015. The Unfair Contract Terms Act, Section 1 explains what business liability is and how it can arise. Section 2 is negligence liability exemptions, as it can't be can't be exempt for death or personal injury through negligence or other losses subject to the test of reasonableness. And it's like when you're a law student, reasonableness is one of the main things. Section 3, contractual liability exemption subject to reasonableness. Here we go, reasonableness again. Like, on contract and tort, it's like we're always going in like what is, and especially tort, it's like always going in like what is a reasonable person, what would a reasonable person do under these circumstances and all. You can kind of apply a bit of tort to it. Section 11 is the test of reasonableness. And Schedule 2 factors, like, is the contract made elsewhere, what is the relevant strength, was the inducement, and what was the knowledge of the contract. And that's why can you be kind of like putting like cases and like expanding in more detail than what I'm doing now, as there is like kind of like case law defining reasonableness, like in George Mitchell and Finney Lockseeds, Smith and Eric Bush, over the availability of insurance and whether or not to exempt negligence. Moving on to the Consumer Rights Act. Yes, like the Consumer Right differs from the Unfair Contract Terms Act 1977 to extend all contractual terms and notices, not just exclusion clauses. And it can only apply to contracts between a trader who is acting in the course of his business and a consumer who must be an individual acting for the purpose wholly or mainly outside the course of their business. And it cannot exempt liability for breach of implied terms on quality, description, title, death or personal injury through negligence and all that. And there's like other terms that you can challenge on the basis of fairness, like section 64, where you cannot challenge core terms of the appropriateness of the price against goods, and section 62, the term will be unfair if contrary to the requirements of good faith if it causes a significant imbalance in the parties' rights and obligations under the contract of the detriment of the consumer. And it's like if you case law in this case for the statute is DGFT First National Bank over discussion of the test. Parkin Iron Beavis and Schedule 2 contain indicative list of unfair terms. Moving on to misrepresentation. This way you could structure the question starting off with considering whether the representation formed the term of a contract, then was the representation and misrepresentation, whether it is a false statement of a fact which induced the party to enter the contract. Then moving on to what type of misrepresentation it was and what remedies are available for that misrepresentation. And it's really first of all, distinguishing between terms and representations. It's they kind of determine the objective intention of the parties and have developed 4 tests, and they recommend that you don't write any more than half a side page in this. You can write more, but you'd be pushing it a little bit. The questions you'd be asking yourself on this bit would be when was the statement made? How important is the statement? Was the contracts reduced to writing, and did the maker of the statement have special knowledge of that area? Moving on to what a misrepresentation is. An actual misrepresentation is a false statement of a material fact which can induce another party to enter into a contract with the representator being the one that kind of represents someone in making the contract, kind of thing. You'd be asking which statements can be capable of being misrepresentation, and as it must be a false and unambiguous statement of facts existing or in the past. It's a statement which amounts to a mere puff or opinion will not be actionable, and you'd have to kind of explain what a puff is. And you'd be using cases like Bissett and Wilkinson, 1927, Smith and Land House, Property Court, 1884, and Esso Petroleum and Martin, 1976. And then you kind of say what a statement of fact is. A statement of fact can be made by words of conduct, and you'd use a case like God and Salico, 1986. And it's like, and then you're asking, like, can silence amount to a misrepresentation? And it's like, which silence generally does not amount to misrepresentation, like in Keats and Earl Cardigan, 1851. But if you attempt to conceal the truth, then it can amount to misrepresentation. Then, like in Gordon and Salico, 1986, and Hossel and Thomas, 1862. It represents or makes an action. In science and half-truths, it represents or makes an inactionable misrepresentation. When it knows that the statement will give a false impression because it suppresses important facts. And you'd use cases like Dimmock and Hallett, 1866, Knott's and Patent Brick and Tile Company, and Butler, 1866. It's all going down in 1866. And Lord Calisant, 1932. Where circumstances change and the statement subsequently becomes subsequently false, the representative is under continuing duty to notify the representee of the changing circumstances. And you use like a case like With and O'Flanagan, 1936. Now moving on to, did the misrep induce the contract? Now it's like in most cases it need not be the sole inducing factor, like in Edgington and Fitzmaurice, 1884. And if the representee was unaware of a representation or did not rely on it, it will have no effect. And you'd use cases like Hofsthal and Thomas, 1862, and Smith and Chadwick, 1882. No, Hofsthal and Thomas, 1862. And it's like where the representee tests the truth of a statement for himself and does not rely on statements, but on his own test in Atwood and you cases like Atwood and Small, 1838. But if a representee is given the opportunity to test the statement but fails to do so, it does not prevent a claim for a misrepresentation. And you use the case of Redgrave and Hurd, 1881. It all goes down in like the 1800s. And moving on to like the types of misrepresentation, there's like fraudulent misrepresentation, negligent misrepresentation, and innocent misrepresentation. For fraudulent misrepresentation, a false statement, there has to be a false statement which the representative did not honestly believe was true, like in Darien Peak, 1889. No, it's not 1889. And a remedy for fraudulent misrepresentation would be rescission and/or damages, depending on the circumstances of the case. Moving on to negligent misrepresentation. Now this is one where there's a statute to help you. Now under the Misrepresentation Act, 1967. Now, and it's negligent misrepresentation is a false statement of fact which the representer had no reasonable grounds to believe was true. And Section 2, Subsection 1 under the Misrepresentation Act, 1967, you may be awarded rescission and/or damages at the discretion of the court, and there's a thing called burden of proof. So like where one party has to prove the burden. Like in Howard and Marine Dredging Company and A. Ogden and Sons of Excavations Limited in 1978. A full 11 years after the Act. Negligent misrepresentation at common law is like negligent misstatements in common law of tort, like Hedley, Byrne and Heller in 1964, where you can get like rescission and or damages in tort, which is something else, probably something else. It's like we're being taught contracts and tort law separately. And then like innocent misrepresentation is a false statement that represents or had reasonable grounds to believe was true. And the remedy is like rescission or damages in lieu of rescission at the discretion of the court. And I'll leave it to you to tell me what in lieu means. See if you know what you're talking about. May as well can it's the damages and rescission are at the discretion of the court again. Discretion being like choice and all that. And for rescission, like what is rescission now? Like rescission is like where like kind of like where misrepresentation and is a contract voidable. Rescission seeks to put the parties in the position they were before the contract was signed and all. There's like bars to like rescission. And it's like it has its only avail if the parties can be restored to their original parties, as they can't always go back to where they were before the contract. And it's not available if you can affirm to the contract, like if you chose a contract and stuck to it. Rescission is lost after a reasonable period. And it's like you can't wait forever for it. And I'll leave it to you as well to find out how long, like what a reasonable period is for the rescission of a contract. And rescission is also unavailable where third party rights are being intervened with. The damages for misrep can be damages for fraudulent misrepresentation or in a tort of deceit. So it can kind of go remoteness, like the representee can cover all direct losses regardless of foreseeability, like in the case of Doyle Oilby, 1969. And like the damages in negligent misrepresentation are tortious. The same generous test of remoteness is available as for fraud, like in the Voice-Scott Trust and Rogerson 1991 case, where doubts grow, although there were doubts expressed in Smith Newcourt and Scramgers Vickers. Like the damages for misrepresentation, like can be like negligent misstatements at common law are generally tortious. Measure of damages, like the remoteness test and reasonably foreseeable losses, can be recoverable. And like remedy for misrepresentation, like there is no separate right for damages for innocent misrepresentation, but can be awarded in lieu of rescission under subsection 2 of the Misrepresentation Act 1967. Now moving on to exclusion of liability for misrepresentation. So you can't exclude under fraudulent misrepresentation. What you can do under the 1967 Misrepresentation Act for innocent or negligent misrepresentation, so far as the terms satisfy the requirement for reasonableness. Moving on to breach of contract and remedies. But like you'd kind of consider whether there was a breach. Kind of say whether there was a breach, and then move on to like what type of term is breached and what it's entitled, what the people suing are entitled to. that have suffered what the people who suffer the breach are entitled to, like what remedies are available, and if damages identified items of loss can be recovered, and consider like which measure of loss and the remittance of damage. So like on the damage essays, consider the way that the law tries to compensate the innocent party, and kind of have to answer like, was it effective? Like, is it effective and efficient or not? And so you have to kind of consider like, what are the options for the innocent party, and does it depend on like terms of contract or contract? You should bring the material that is relevant for the question, and you must reference back to the question. And you have to provide case examples to support the argument, and provide a central narrative, comment in relation to the question, and obviously introduction, conclusion and all. So like, for a breach of contract, failure to perform precisely can lead to a breach of contract. And if the contract is an entire obligation agreement, then you have no obligation to pay unless the other party fully performs. Like in the cases of Cutter and Powell 1795 and Sumter and Hedges 1898. And the harshness of a rule that led to a number of exemptions to the rule. And it's like several obligations, and you'd use Regent OHGN Francesco of Jeremy. There is also prevention of performance by defendant in like, and you'd use Plancher and Goldburn. And you'd say acceptance of partial performance, Sumter and Hedges, and the doctrine of substantial performance, Honig and Isaacs, and you'd also use Bolton and Mahediver. And then you go over like the types of terms, like condition. Like, the condition is a breach means that can repudiate contracts and claims for damages. There's also a warranty where a breach means you can only claim for damages, as it technically isn't something in the contract. There's an innominate term as well. And a remedy depends on the seriousness of the breach. If it deprives an innocent party of substantially whole or of the contract, then can repudiate and claim damages. Only if minor, then can only claim damages. So like, we're kind of told that it's like, depends on like whether you see it as a condition or a warranty, as it's kind of interchangeable. And then after that, it's like you'd be asking like, do I have to end the contract? And it's like, although the innocent party is entitled to treat the contract as if it has ended, it doesn't always mean that it has ended, as you can be left with a choice. And you can elect to carry on with the contract and sue for damages, or you can elect to treat the contract as and then sue at an end and sue for the damages. And you see actually Rochester and Delator, where concerning information on whether there was any danger in doing so. So like, the remedies are generally damages, like compensation and all that. The other remedies are available in equity, so I can't really say much in equity at the moment, as we haven't studied it yet. And you'd have, and there's like, well, the number of remedies available under equity are rescission, specific performance rectification, and injunction. The damages like aim to compensate for the loss of the injured party, like in Surrey and Bredero homes. And it's like damages are included as a right and all that. And then summary of the damages. You'd firstly have to work out which items of loss you can recover in a contractual damage and contractual damages, and then you'd work out the amount of damages, like assessing the damages, which involves two further stages. First being which measure of loss should I claim, and then secondly, how distant or remote from the breach can I recover. So you can measure damage. There are three methods of calculating damages for a claimant, but you cannot double recover. And it's like if you have to choose like one of them, not like all three of them. And there's like restitution loss based on the gain by the other party, like the other party being the one that isn't innocent. There's reliance loss to cover you for the out-of-pocket expenses. Like consider limits, like you can't use it to escape a bad bargain. Then expectation losses, where it puts you in a position of if a contract had been performed. Like difference in the market value and cost of cure, where you consider limits on availability, like Ruxley Electronics and Forsyth, Macrae and Commonwealth disposals. Like you cite those cases. And you don't have to do like the full thing, like you don't have to say that it's like from the whatever copy of like the All England report, whatever. For moments of damages, the defendant must cause the claimant's loss, and the claimant's loss must not be too remote, a consequence of a breach. Now the test of remoteness was found in Hadley and Baxendale. Recovering damages are those that are fairly and reasonably considered arising naturally. For example, according to the usual course of things and from such breach of contracts, or that may reasonably be supposed to have been in the contemplation of both parties at the time they made the contract, as probable results of the breach. And it's like you have to identify the cases, demonstrate the application, identify the cases that demonstrate the application of the test. There must be a serious possibility of substantial probability of what could occur, like in the Heron 2. There's like a naval ship, and if you get a case where the ship is involved and there's a naval case, like the boat in the case, then it's kind of okay to use the boat's name, like the Heron 2. And this next one, the party in breach may not be responsible for every loss he could foresee, like in the Achilles. And so like must assess remoteness at the time of contract as opposed to the time of the breach, like in Jackson and RBS. With access damages generally at the point generally at the point of the breach, like in the Golden Victory, and you must do all you can to mitigate your losses. So then you'd be asking, does the contract specify the damages payable on breach? It is okay if it is a genuine pre-estimate of loss, as it would if it would hold disproportionate to the loss. It would be a penalty clause and would be void, like in Dunlop pneumatic tyre and new garage and motor. And it's like in Cavendish and Macdessie 2015, which was heard in the Supreme Court. And it's really must be a secondary obligation. There's something that's like on the side that you have to do. It's like important, just not as important as like some things. And it goes no further than necessary to protect legitimate interest. There are equitable remedies in this are discretionary and are only available where damages are inadequate. And you'd have to consider whether you could get the other party to perform the contract, like specific performance, and it's like not available in contracts requiring supervision or contract of a personal nature. And that's this handout for this week, so yeah. Sorry it took me like 40 minutes to do all of it. I don't know, I was talking for like 40 minutes over something that's like less, but I think I was like kind of like a little more meaty this week than it was like last week. So yeah, I'll see you all tonight. So yeah, bye for now. Don't see you beforehand. I'm just going to quickly end off this week's video before it gets too late. So yeah, I'll see you all then. And I'll see you for the exam video on my exams, so yeah. I'll see you then.